Father of the Bride has been on my list for quite a while, and I want to watch a lot more of Elizabeth Taylor's films, so I figured this was a pretty good place to start. And I have to say, for me, it got off to a bit of a slow start, and I don't know if I love the narrative style, but ultimately I quite enjoyed the film. I feel like it was worth the wait, but I didn't love it as much as I perhaps expected, based on, general reviews and ratings that I've seen online over the years. It was released, of course, in 1950, directed by Vincente Minnelli, and written by Albert Hackett and Francis Goodrich, based on the novel by Edward Streeter. I didn't until now realise there was a novel. I, of course, haven't read it, but if you have read it and know how it compares, please feel free to share that information. And it stars Elizabeth Taylor as Kay, and Spencer Tracy as her father, Stanley T. Banks. And Kay announces one day that she's getting married. And the entire film is about the preparations for this wedding, the run up to the wedding, and various pitfalls along the way, and also a very overexcited energy from Kay a lot of the time, all from the perspective of Stanley. And I mean, it goes with the title, Father of the Bride. That in itself, I think, is quite interesting. It's not completely unique nowadays, but certainly the majority of wedding-based films are not from the perspective of the father of the bride. So it certainly gives a very unique perspective, even today, but certainly back then, very refreshing. But why I said I didn't particularly love the narrative style is because Stanley actually narrates it. He breaks down the fourth wall at the very beginning. He's sitting in a chair, in a high-back chair, talking to us, the viewer, explaining that he's about to tell the story of his daughter's engagement. And then we have a lot of voiceover narration. Not, there are times when it kind of dips in and out. Sometimes there's a lot of voiceover narration, and a lot of it, the fourth wall, feels like it was never broken, and it feels like you're watching a more traditional narrative. So I feel like it goes in and out of it a little bit, and I didn't love it, but it wasn't so jarring that it hampered my enjoyment of the narrative. And I have to say, Stanley's a very likeable character. He's very level-headed, and his daughter is obviously very excited about planning the wedding. Kay is very much looking forward to all of this, and they're receiving engagement gifts and talking about wedding dresses and everything, and Stanley's kind of like, whoa, this is going to cost a lot of money. And he has a kind of very stereotypical, predictable outlook for a lot of this, but ultimately wants the best for his daughter. Things seem to be uneventful, interesting because the characters are interesting, but in terms of, key plot points, I'd say for 2/3 of the film, it's pretty steady and not much happens. And then something happens, and there's a mini twist, if you like, that I hadn't seen coming, and I thought, oh, maybe this is getting more dramatic than I expected. Generally, though, it's a very pleasant, relatively funny film. I went into it thinking it was going to be, an incredibly comedic film. Honestly, I feel like it's not that funny. Not that it's boring, but it just wasn't necessarily what I was expecting. But did I enjoy it? Well, yes, I did. Would I recommend it? Absolutely, as long as you're not looking for a film that's, well, at least in my opinion, packed with humour or indeed a gripping narrative. But it's pleasant, it's wholesome a lot of the time, because Stanley is a likeable character and also a likeable narrator, generally speaking. It's easy to get on with. I really liked it. Maybe it wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but Father of the Bride was definitely worth the wait.